Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session into our AWS series. Today, we're going to talk about Amazon's EC2 service and another service by name EBS, Elastic Block Storage. So let's go ahead and start with Amazon's EC2 service. EC2 is one of very popular services within Amazon. A lot of people think Amazon just about EC2 only, but we have seen in the past that they do have a lot many more servers. But EC2 seems to be one of very popular services other than their S3 and their RP node. So Amazon uh, Elastic Compute Cloud or EC2 is a web service that provides resizable compute capacity or VMs basically. We call them instances that you can run in the cloud, and it is designed to make web scale cloud computing easier. So the whole idea is that you can provision them easily, you can scale them as per the demand. If there is a peak hours, you need more capacity, you can go ahead and configure more servers manually, or you can automate that with the help of something called auto scaling. We'll be doing a lab on that one. Uh, this flexibility of scaling up and down depending on the application need or your need, environment's need, that's what something is very interesting, and that's what sometimes called as elastic web scale computing too. So Amazon's EC2 simple web service interface basically allows you to obtain and configure capacity with minimal friction here. EC2 reduces the time required to obtain and boot new instances. And as you can quickly scale up your environment, you can quickly scale down as per your computing requirement. Also, EC2 is again the same other services like allows you to pay only for the capacity that you actually use. And again, as I mentioned earlier, EC2 increase capacity within minutes, not hours or days. So that's what something is elastic web scale computing. You can configure commission or bring up one server, 100 servers, or even thousands of instances simultaneously. Again, you can configure them manually, or you can program them depending on the need. Let's say you have a web server. If the web server seems to as a CPU is already 80% of the time, maybe you want to go ahead and add a couple of more instances as CPU load decreases. You want to scale down, or okay, every day like 9 a.m. in the morning, you have a huge traffic to your website. You can configure time-based instances, you can configure load-based instances, and then you can scale down. So that's the whole idea. So the Amazon EC2 instances are think of it as a VM. So you can install Linux, you can install Windows, and there are different operating systems supported by Amazon. So there is a good list on Amazon's website that you can go ahead and refer. There is a very good documentation out there on the Amazon website. So let me go ahead and share that with you. So this is pretty good document into details about the Amazon's EC2 servers and some of the use cases. There are some good benefits like elastic web scale computing. As we discussed, you can increase, decrease capacity within minutes and wait a couple of days. The good thing, it's completely controlled. It's completely controlled. You have full access to the instance. You can connect as a root. You can stop the instance. You can restart the instance. You can remotely access your instance with the help of your APIs. It's pretty much flexible in terms of the hosting services. So you can choose different type of your instances. So when we do the demo lab, I'll show you the different type of instances out there. Same thing with your different operating system. You can choose different packages, number of CPUs, memory, storage, boot partition, and there are a lot of other services. And Amazon EC2, works hand in hand with a lot of other services like S3, DynamoDB, VPC. You can secure your EC2 instance. In the last lab we saw, you can make use of the VPC, or you can configure your security groups and network ACLs, NECLs, basically to allow the control inbound and outbound access to your instances. Who can access what? Let's say it's a web server. Maybe you know the port 80 and 443. but may not be the SQL port, or maybe you just want to allow SSH and just only from your IP, not from public IP. And another thing, it's pretty inexpensive, so it's not very costly. The pricings are pretty competitive. So this web page has a lot of good information. You can go to Amazon website and search for EC2. That'll give you much more details. So going back after the Amazon EC2, once you have an EC2 instance, there's another service that kind of works in hand with hand with the EC2, though you can use independently, but it makes much more sense to cover this topic with EC2. So the Amazon's Elastic Block Store, or EBS, is a persistent block level storage volume for use with EC2 instance in the AWS cloud. So if you want to have your data to be persistent across a reboot, or you shut them down, or you want to make use of that data later on, you can create your EBS volumes. And each Amazon EBS volume is automatically replicated within its availability zone to protect you from component failure. So that gives you a built-in high availability and durability. Again, Amazon EBS volume offers a consistent and low latency performance. So depending on the need, you can increase and decrease the number of IOPS. Let's say you're running a database server, you need more IOPS. You can go ahead and change that. If you're running a web server, maybe you don't need that many number of IOPS. You can go ahead and decrease that. So that's what something you can use. So the EBS is nothing but it's a persistent block level storage volumes. You can take a snapshot of these volumes. So when you take a snapshot, those are point in time snapshot. So whenever you take a snapshot, those snapshots are making use of the Amazon's another service by name S3. That's where those snapshots are getting stored. So I'll walk you through during the lab about all of these different settings and what we can do. Again, there is a very nice document out there. So let me go ahead and show that document to you guys. That talks about the EBS in much more detail. So like we discussed, is a persistent block level storage, and sorry guys, I just clicked the wrong link. Okay. It talks about different benefits, a reliable, secure storage. So in terms of security, you can encrypt your EBS volume, consistent and low latency performance, as like we discussed. EBS are general purpose SSD volumes, and you can even configure the IOPS. If you need more, you can select the EBS provision IOPS versus the general purpose SSD. Backup restore, so you can take point-in-time snapshot of your Amazon EBS volume. You can quickly scale up and scale down. Again, it's a geographic flexibility. So there is a good documentation out there. You can go to the Amazon website and look for EBS to get some more detail. Hopefully, you got some basic idea about Amazon's EC2 service and EBS. So now let's go ahead and jump into our demo. So let me go ahead and share I've logged on to the Amazon's EC2 management Amazon console, management console, and we'll go ahead and configure certain things here. So let's go back to the EC2, and you can see I've already configured one instance and I've assigned one elastic IP. Again, we call the elastic IPs are the static IPs, which are assigned to you as a user or to you as a company, and it's not assigned to any particular instance. You can change or disassociate from one instance, and you can associate to a different instance. So let's go back to the instance here. So I do have an instance already running here, and if you look here, it's not EBS optimized, but my root device is EBS. I'll walk you through when we do some of the things. So let's go ahead and launch a new instance. So I'll walk you through about the EC2. So you go to the EC2 dashboard. You can do a launch instance, or you can go under instance and launch a new instance. There are key pairs. So the key pairs are your SSH key pair, the PAM key pair. I have created already an existing key pair. It's pretty easy to create a key pair. You just click on create key pair, give it a name. You create in your download key pair, and you will use this key pair to connect to your instances back into Amazon cloud. Elastic IPs, I have one Elastic IP which is associated to my that instance. This is my static IP which is assigned it to me as a user or as a company. It's not a dynamic IP. There are different security group. If you recall from some of the previous lab, these security groups are, old days just firewall or accessless basically. So you are defining one. There are two legs, inbound and outbound. And if you see outbound, we are allowing all the traffic. Inbound, okay, we are allowing access to the port 80 from anywhere. Same thing with the SSH. If you want to restrict some of the things or if you want to add more rules, just go ahead and click on Edit. Let's say I don't want to have SSH from anywhere. I can do a custom IP or I can just assign my IP so it automatically detects if it is my IP. So that means the SSH, I can only do an SSH to this host from this IP. I'll just leave it to my anywhere for the time being. You can go ahead and add more rules. Let's say HTTP, I could go ahead and enable HTTPS. So there are quite a lot of rules that you can go ahead and add here and make change. So the security groups are our old days, just kind of a access list or just think of it as a firewall. So you go under network and security, that's where you will find the security groups. So we went ahead and create a security group. So we went ahead and create a key pairs. Now let's go back to your instances. So we'll go ahead and launch an instance. So to launch an instance is pretty easy. Click on launch instance. So there are different options. So it says the step one, it says choose an Amazon machine image. So think of machine image as nothing but just like an ISO or a template pre-built out there. You can make use of. There are different images. As you can see, there is Amazon, there is a Red Hat, there are Windows. You can look for my AMIs. You can create your own AMI, install some of custom software, and then every time that when you have to launch instance, you can make use of your own AMIs. There is AWS Marketplace out there, or you can buy some of these and make use of them. So I'll go back to the quick start, and under quick start, I'll go ahead and select the Amazon Linux. So we'll go ahead and install probably a Linux. So the first thing it says here, choose an instance type. So if you see the instance type, basically there are different instance type. They are named. You can see there's a T2 Nano, T2 Micro. Depending on their type, they have a different number of virtual CPUs, amount of memory, type of the backend storage. Are they using EBS? Okay. Are those EBS optimized? What are their network performance? So you get the idea. Let's say I'm just running a test server. I can just make use of a T2 Micro. On the other hand, let's say if I decide to run a Windows server, probably I can go something like M3 large or M3 medium, where I have like one CPU or two virtual CPU with 7.5 gig of memory, one drive 32 gig with the SSD drive. If you're running something more, you can go probably, and these are categorized here based on time, like as they say, some these are storage optimized instance type. Some are memory optimized, so you have a lot of more memory. Some are GPU instance. If you are doing anything with the graphics, you can go ahead and select the type of the instance or which suits your application and requirements. So there are different CPU, like in the T2 Micro, currently selected says, okay, I have T2 Micro with one virtual CPU, 2.5 gigahertz, Intel Xeon family. You can do something. There are different CPUs. You can, if you want to see the physical CPU, you can go ahead and change and click that one, and you can get some more details over here. So I'll go ahead and click on configure instance details. So under the configure instance or detail, it says number of the instance. So right now you can create one instance or multiple instances. Request spot instance. I'll talk about spot instance maybe in some other lab. This is a network. Remember in the last VPC lab. So we haven't created a new VPC. If you want to create a new VPC, you can do it from here. It's using our default VPC. No availability zone, so we are just leaving it to the default. Auto assign public IP address, it says enable. So that means once the instance comes up, it will get a dynamic public IP address. There are no IAM roles that we have associated. Shutdown behavior, when I shut down, what happens? You can stop the instance or you can terminate the instance. You can enable termination protection. That means if by accidentally if somebody decides to clicks on terminate, it will prompt you. You can enable cloud watch monitoring. So I'll click on cloud watch monitoring. It says additional charges apply. You can look on some more deep tenancy, shared, run a shared instance versus dedicated. Again, if you want some dedicated hardware, you can use. But Amazon, I have not seen, they on even on the shared resources, ever experiencing any kind of performance issues. Under the advanced detail, you can supply some of your bootstrap data as needed. So like the work we have been doing. So let me go ahead and install the Apache server, and then probably we'll go ahead and start this Apache server. Once that is done, I'll click on the Add Storage. So right now, if you see your instance will be launched with the following storage device setting. You can attach additional EBS volume and instant store volumes to your instance. So right now there is a root device that we have added. There's the name Snapshot. The type is 8 gig, and the volume type. Right now we are using a general purpose SSD GP2, and the number of IOPS are like 24 out of 3,000. So if you're looking for more IOPS, you can change from general purpose SSD to provisioned IOPS SSD, and then you can configure the number of IOPS that you need, or you can go to a magnetic. It's very, very slow. There are no IOPS guarantee or anything. If you're just testing something, you can go ahead and make use of that. I'll leave it to the general purpose SSD. Delete on termination. So this check mark is created. Pay attention to that root volume is by it's not encrypted. There is no option to encrypt that while launching your EC2 instance. If you want to add another volume, another drive, you can just simply go ahead and click on add a new volume. Will not do that, but you can see you can add a volume, and it presents you the type being EBS, so it will be a persistent block storage. You can specify the size, again, general purpose SSD versus IOPS, and you can encrypt this particular volume. If you select here, EBS will encrypt this particular one, so we don't want any volume as of right now. So hopefully you get the idea about the storage. And let's go ahead and click on instance, a tag name. A tag consists of a case sensitive value pair. You can define a tag value. So you can refer these tags within your APIs or just to group certain resources. I'm going to call it my web server instance. You can create a new security group, or if you have an existing security group, we can make use of that one. So I'll go ahead and select my existing security group where I'm allowing access to port 80 and port 22 anywhere. You can create a new security group if you need to, like we have done multiple times in the past. A security group is a set of firewall rules that control the traffic for your instance, basically. So this is the incoming traffic inbound rules. So we are saying that, okay, if any traffic wants to come, we are opening the access to port 80 from anywhere. Same thing, 22 accessible from everywhere. Once done, you can just simply click on review, and you can get to see here some of the details. This is the type of the AMI. This is an instance type, security groups. What are different security group details, instance details. You can storage. If you want to see your storage details, you can go ahead and click on storage details and just simply go ahead and launch an instance. And it's asking for your SSP. You can create a new one, but in my case, I've already created an existing key. So I'll make use of my existing key to connect my instances. So I'll go ahead and click on launch instance. And once the instance is done, you can click on view instance to see the details about the instance. Similarly, like I just left a Linux instance, you can go ahead and select a Windows if you want to launch a Windows instance. But I'm not going to go ahead and launch a Windows instance, but you get the idea. You got the different options here. So if you look here, I do have an existing instance here. We'll go through some of the settings. So this is the instance ID. This is the type T2 micro. That's my private DNS, private IP. This is my public DNS, public IP. This is my elastic IP. It belongs to this particular availability zone. This is my security group that I'm using. This is my AMI ID, or the image that I used to build this particular instance. This is the key pair being associated. You can look at the termination policy. Right now it's false. Monitoring is basic. We are not doing anything. The root device here is the EBS type, which is XVDA. You can go to the status check tab to look at different statuses. It says system reachability, check past, instance reachability check pass, and click on monitoring just to see how things are going. You can look on the CPU utilization. If you need more detail, just simply click on that graph. I'll give you the more details. Instead of last 5 minutes, you can do 15 minutes graph, and some of the other details you can go ahead and look here. Tags is that's the name of the custom lab name, custom name, and some of the other information. If you want to add or make change, you can click on add edit tags. Go back to the description now. Let's go back here and let's connect to this instance. Let's check something pretty quick. I don't know. So there's no web server on my existing one instance. How about the other web server? Let's look on this one and see. Okay, so perfect. So let's go ahead and do one thing. We'll go ahead and make use of our web server instance. So I'm going to move that my static IP from this instance to my new web server. So go into Elastic IPs, click on your Elastic IP address under action, just simply say associate address, and go ahead and select your web server instance and just click simply associate. Resources is already associated, so let's go ahead and disassociate first. And now let's go ahead and select again, and let's say associate address. Select the Windows one and just simply do associate connected. Now let's go back to the instance, and let's click on the web server, and you can see that we have the static IP error. So let's go ahead and connect to this particular. Host. So you can see I'm using my SSH key here to connect to that purpose. So we are inside this host. Let me just show you the IP address. My private IP address 143. This you can see the 143 here. If I do a df-h, it's on like 7.8 gigs, so close to 8 gigs that we had provisioned when we created this particular instance. Let's look other block devices. So right now we just have only one block device here, and your XVDA1 is mounted on your root, and file system type is the EC2. So you can see it's pretty easy to spin up a new instance, to connect to a new instance, and now you can go ahead and install anything. Like we went ahead and just installed our Apache server. So now we'll go ahead and walk through some of the other details here. So with the web server, if you click on web server and go back to the volumes, so remember on the back end it uses an EBS. So if you click on this one, it says, okay, hey, this is the 8 gig one, and it's an 8 gig volume being connected to this particular web server. So we can create another volume and we can connect that to our instance. So let's go ahead and click create volume. We are creating a general purpose SSD. Again, you can create a different type of volume. I'm just simply creating a 1 gig of volume. Availability zone, again, we are not creating any snapshot, we are not encrypting. So just simply go ahead and create your volume, and just in a few minutes or seconds, we'll go ahead and create this particular one. You can see the status right now is creating. So now it's available. So what we need to do, simply just go to this, go back to your volume. You can do under actions, you can attach this volume. So we'll go ahead and attach this volume to our web server. So it says no matching or running instances within the West 2A. So now we go back here, and if you look here, the instance that we created, the web server. Okay, let's go back. It's in 2B, while our volume is in 2A. So that's why it's not allowing us to do it. So how do we do that now? There is no option. So you go in. So there is only option you can go ahead and add some tags or something. So we'll go ahead and delete this one, and we have to create a new one. So we'll go ahead and create a new volume. Again, 1 gig here, and that was an 2B. So let's go ahead and create a new volume. And you can see we just deleted our existing one. Give it a few seconds. It's available. Go ahead and select your new volume and attach this volume to our website. So it says, okay, hey, I will be mounting probably this to SDF or, a dev SD3, depending on what newer kernel. So I'll just simply go ahead and click on attach. And once that is done, we'll change the status. You can see right now it shows, okay, I'm attaching to this one. So it should be done. The status changed to in use. Now let's go back to your Linux instance and let's do a list again and look for your block devices. So now you can see that we have a new block device. The name of that device is XVDF. It's of 1 gig. It says right now this is one of our desk. Let's see if there is any existing data within uh, this volume. So you can use the file command with the option of a -f, and let's give XVDF and no read permission. So let's go ahead and type run this command with the sudo. So data, it doesn't show anything. That means there is no file system or anything. So let's go ahead and create a file system. I'm going to change myself to root instead of typing sudo. So I'll use the mkfs command -t. I'll create an ext 4 file system probably, or ext3 file system, and I can use my device here. So once that is done, it will take a few minutes, and that is done. Now let's go ahead and create a directory by name. I'll just call it a data directory, and let's go ahead and mount our volume to this particular directory. You can use the mount command just to verify that it's been mounted, and type is ext3, read, write, and some other information. We can go under our data directory. Let's go ahead and create few files, test file. Let's create another file, test1, test file 1. I'm going to go ahead and do an unmount on this one. So you can do an dev xpdf. So you can see it's no more mounted anymore. So I can just simply go ahead and mount this volume to some of my other instance. If this instance, I don't need this instance anymore, or if this instance dies or something, I can create some snapshot. So if you want to create a snapshot, so snapshot are, timing snapshot pretty much. So you can click on that one, and there is an option that says create snapshot. So you can give it a snapshot. Let me just call it snap1, snapshot 1, and we'll just go ahead and click create. It has snapshot creation started. You can click on this, the name, or you can click close here. You can go to Windows Snapshot, and you can see right now it's pending. The capacity, person capacity is 1 gig. It's not encrypted. Status right now pending. This is my volume ID. This is snapshot ID. And I can just go ahead and wait for a few minutes, and it's going to take a while, and I will create a volume snapshot of my volume. So give it a few minutes. The status should change in time. Now while it's going on, go back to our volumes, and you can see this is our 1 gig volume right now. It's in use, so we can go ahead and select on this one, and we can do a detach volume. We can disassociate this one from our web server instance. So give it a few seconds, and it will be detached. So now this volume is available, and if you want to mount this volume to some other instance, you can go ahead and do that. So let's have a look on our snapshot. Let's go ahead and do one thing while the snapshot is going on. We can go ahead and connect this volume to our other instance. So this is our another instance. So let me go ahead and do an SSH to this instance too, just to show you that it's pretty easy. You can mount. So let's go ahead and disconnect from our existing one and let's connect to instance. And you can see here we don't have any that drive here for that volume. So let's go ahead and mount that particular volume here. So you go under the volume, you go ahead and select this one. Just simply go back to actions. You can do an attach volume. You can look for this one. Just simply do an attach, and once that is done, there's simply DLK command. It says okay that we have a 1 gig volume. Again, you can verify if there is anything existing on this one. So you can just simply dev xpdf in this case. So it does says, okay, there is a file system on this one. So that means you don't have to create a system. Just simply create a directory here, like the same thing we did last time. PDF. Let's mount it on the /data. Now go to your data directory. And here are your files. So that means your data. So that proves our EBS volumes are persistent. You can attach, you can detach, you can create snapshots. So let's look at the status of our snapshot. Okay, the snapshot is completed. If by mistake or if you don't need, let's go back to our volume. We can detach, you can force detach the volume. We did a force detach. Now let's go ahead and verify that on the, so it's still mounted. It will take a few minutes. It's always good to do a kind of a safe detach and mount and then okay, it's available. We can go ahead and delete a volume. So I can go ahead and delete this volume. So now my volume is gone. You remember we took a snapshot of this volume. You can create new volume from your existing snapshot. So you go to your snapshot, you go to actions, and then you can create a volume. You can create an image. You can copy this one. You can delete. You can change some of the permission. So let's go ahead and create our volume. Our 1 gig within the 2B. Just simply go ahead and click create. You go back to the volumes, and you can see that we have another one volume. If you want, we can go ahead and mount this volume back, and we can verify, it does indeed contain all of our data. So let's go back to tab, and the status changes in use. Let's go back and verify LSBLK. Let's look for if there are any. So it does say is that there is a file system on this one. We can use the mount command again just to verify. And you can see once we did, here are our existing files. Hopefully, you get the idea that it's pretty easy to work with the EBS volumes. You can create a snapshot. You can, from the snapshot, you can create new volumes. So the snapshots are pretty much at time they're present snapshot. So when you take a snapshot, it stores the snapshot within your S3 on the back end. That's what it makes use of that one. And once you create a volume from the snapshot, it uses your EBS. So that's all pretty much, guys, around the EBS volumes snapshot and how do you create new instances, key pairs, and some of the other things. So hopefully you got a good, decent idea around the EC2 EBS. And in some of the next labs, I'll focus on the elastic load balancing. So we'll scale our instance size based on certain nodes, on certain other details. So I'll see you in the next lab. Thanks. Bye bye.